But we are going to start with the potential news that Qatar Sporting Investment Group could be looking to invest in a Premier League club. Now, Tottenham has been mentioned at length in the past few days. Our chief reporter, Kaveh Solhekol, is here to shed some light on this. So, Kaveh, why, I think is my first question, why do the Qataris want to invest in the Premier League?
Well, they want to invest in the Premier League because they want to build on the success of the World Cup. They believe that the World Cup they hosted in November and December was the most successful World Cup ever, and they want to build on the success of the World Cup. Now, they already own PSG. They own 23% stake in the Portuguese club Braga as well, but they want to own more clubs. And we've been told that 2023 is going to be a year of ambitious strategic acquisitions for the Qataris as far as football is concerned.
Have they had any meetings yet?
Well, what is interesting, I think you're talking about a story that we reported on Sunday night about the fact that the president of PSG, who also runs Qatar Sports Investments, had a meeting with Daniel Levy, the executive chairman of Tottenham Hotspur. Now, in our story, I think we were careful to say that the meeting wasn't necessarily about the Qataris investing in Spurs. Daniel Levy and Nasser Al-Khelaifi meet each other regularly because they're both involved in the European Club Association. Nasser Al-Khelaifi is the chairman, and since 2021, Daniel Levy has been a member, an executive board member of the European Club Association. So it is not out of the ordinary for them to meet each other. As far as Tottenham are concerned, the meetings between the two men were not about the Qataris investing in Spurs. Right. It was not about the Qataris acquiring a stake in Spurs. But what we do know is that the Qataris are very, very interested in investing in a Premier League club. And at the moment, quite unusually, some of the biggest Premier
available,
League
aren't they?
clubs are not necessarily available for sale, but they're certainly available for you to invest in if you have the money to be able to do so. Yeah,
that would be Manchester United and Liverpool, I guess you're talking about. So is this an option, do you think? This is
for the Qataris?
Yes.
I think it's potentially an option. Why not? The Qataris, when they bought PSG, you have to bear in mind, they bought PSG, I think, 12 years ago. It was only for about 70 or 80 million pounds. It is now worth something between 3 and 4 billion pounds.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
It's
return.
A remarkable return. They are looking for investments. I think it would be complicated for them to buy Manchester United or Liverpool or even Spurs outright because it's difficult to own two major clubs. You know, they're going to come across each other in the Champions League. So
that's a complete conflict of interest, surely. So how would it possibly work, even if they had a small stake?
Well, they wouldn't have to own another club outright. They could invest and have a minority stake in another club. The other thing that I would say is, when it comes to Qatar, never say never. People thought it would be impossible for Qatar to win the rights to host the World Cup. People thought it would be impossible to host a World Cup in Qatar. People said you couldn't have it in the summer. It had to be in the summer. They moved it to the winter. I think there would be ways around it if that is what they wanted to do. But I can't talk about specific clubs that they're interested in signing, but they do want to invest in a Premier League club as well as buying other clubs and investing in other clubs around the world, especially America. And you have to look at the model that Manchester City owners have set up. People sometimes forget the owners of Manchester City don't just own Manchester City. It is owned by the City Football Group, and I think they own clubs in 11 different countries. So I think the Qataris want to replicate what the owners of Manchester City have done, and they want to build on the success of the World Cup as they see it. Yeah,
I was talking about this yesterday, satellite and horizontal ownership and things like that. We won't go into that now. But my final question to you, Kaveh, then is this. Is this good news for the Premier League?
It would be controversial. You know, the World Cup in Qatar was very, very controversial. Everybody knows about the issues to do with migrant workers, equality, diversity in Qatar. But we've seen, for instance, the Saudi Arabia government's investment fund buy a big stake in Newcastle United. Okay, that was controversial, but that was allowed to happen. I think the Qataris would be able to buy a stake in a Premier League club. I don't think there would be problems as far as the Premier League are concerned. I think it would be allowed. It would be controversial, but I think you would have to speak to the fans of the clubs they're investing in. I think in the modern age, fans would welcome them with open arms because they would look at what they've done at PSG. You've got players like Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, the biggest wage bill in world football. And I imagine if you're a Liverpool fan or if you're a Manchester United fan or if you're a fan of any other club that PSG's owners would invest in, I'm not sure you'd welcome them with open arms. It depends. You can't talk generally about all football fans. I think a lot of football fans would welcome them with open arms, and a lot of football fans would have concerns about the issues that were highlighted during the World Cup in Qatar.
OK. Kaveh, thank you very much.